Tonight, as we go on the air, a live look at the White House in our nation's capital. Flags there and all across this country, in many cases lowered to half staff after something that has now become all too common in this country, yet another school shooting. We thank you for your time and for being with us tonight. I'm Doug Dunbar.
I'm Nicole Baker. We start tonight morning the 21 lives lost after a shooting inside of a South Texas elementary school.
Since we last left you at 6 o'clock this evening, Texas Department of Public Safety has confirmed even more deaths.
So the school, Robb Elementary in Uvalde, where just under 600 second through fourth graders were in school, is about an hour and a half just outside of San Antonio. It's a smaller community there of a little more than 24,000 people.
And at 10 o'clock, new information. The death toll has risen in the last few hours. 19 students now who were second, third, and fourth graders all lost their lives today. 2 adults also killed. There are others injured, but at this time, the exact numbers have not been confirmed on the injury side. We do know that the 66-year-old grandmother of the shooter was one of the victims, and two law enforcement officers were also injured.
Here's what we know about the suspect, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. CBS News law enforcement sources confirm he was armed with a handgun and an AR-15 rifle with high-capacity magazines. Sources also confirm that the shooter was wearing body armor. Police tell CBS 11 he lived in Uvalde, and the shooter hid behind a barricade and exchanged fire with law enforcement officers on the scene there. We know he was eventually shot and killed, and investigators say they do believe he was alone in this.
And at this point, here's what we know regarding the timeline through the day today. The shooter abandoned his truck. It was right outside the school, then made his way inside the building. That happened at 11:32. Uvalde School District then put out their first alert to the public. That was at 12:17. A little less than an hour later, 1:06, police confirming the suspect had been apprehended. At that time, though, we didn't know he'd been killed. Then more than 2 hours later, Governor Greg Abbott confirming the first deaths in the case.
And of course, as we're on the air with you tonight, there are more questions than answers for all of us, for parents, for that community. And we know investigators are working hard to get them.
We've got Aaron Jones live right outside the school tonight. And as we say good evening to you, Aaron, one cannot even fathom the feeling in Uvalde tonight.
Yes, Doug and Nicole, it's hard to believe that there were parents who dropped their students here at the elementary school today, just like any other day, only for something so tragic to occur. You can see multiple law enforcement agencies still here tonight behind me. We spoke to other parents who were arriving here at the elementary school today, just describing an absolutely horrific scene. Parents and family members rushed to the school and local hospitals looking for loved ones. This woman is looking for her niece.
We have not yet gotten any answers of where her whereabouts are at.
The shooting started shortly after 11:30 a.m. at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, a town roughly 85 miles west of San Antonio.
He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly.
This school has children that are in second, third, and fourth grade.
Investigators identified the suspect as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, a high school senior from Uvalde.
He himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him.
2 of those officers were wounded and are expected to survive.
At this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime.
President Biden addressed the tragedy after returning to the White House from Japan.
I'd hoped when I became president I would not have to do this.
And we were told that students were actually supposed to celebrate the last day of school on Thursday, but now, of course, classes have been canceled for the rest of the year. Doug and Nicole.
Aaron Jones live on the ground for us. Aaron, thank you.
In the hours since, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle we've seen through the night calling for a lot of change. And while they certainly may disagree on what needs to be done, they all seem to agree that something has to change.
We are seeing way too many of these horrific mass murders, and we need to devote far more law enforcement resources to stopping violent criminals, to preventing these kind of absolute acts of evil.
Nowhere else do parents have to talk to their kids, as I have had to do, about why they got locked into a bathroom and told to be quiet for 5 minutes just in case a bad man entered that building. Nowhere else does that happen except here in the United States of America, and it is a choice.
And so you understand the context there with Senator Chris Murphy. He previously represented a district that included Sandy Hook Elementary. Today's violence is the deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook, by the way, back in 2012. And we'd be remiss if we don't also reflect on the fact that this shooting happens less than a week after the 4-year anniversary of the mass shooting we reported on at Santa Fe High School near Houston. Happened on the 18th of May in 2018. A lone gunman fatally shot 8 students that day, 2 teachers. 13 were injured. Prior to today, that was the deadliest school shooting in Texas history.